Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel. In this particular video, I have explained regarding the concept of for loop in Python programming language, the flowchart of the for loop, that means diagrammatically how the for loop will be executing, the syntax of an for loop, explanation of it. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, share this video link with your friends and family members, share the video links in various social networks which you are going to use, gain the knowledge and rule the world. Happy learning. For loop. The for loop is used to iterate over a range of values or a sequence. It means the for loop statement will be repeated number of times based upon the range of values or the sequence. And here the for loop is executed for each of the items in the range. These values can be either numerical values or they can be elements of a data type like a string, list or a tuple. That means if these values are present in the range of values, then the for statement is iterated. With every iteration of the loop, the control variable checks whether each of the values in the range have been traversed or not. It means for every iteration it will check the value and sees that those values are present in the range, and it will be iterated only if those values are in the range have been traversed or not. When all the items in the range are exhausted, the statements within the loop are not executed. So for every iteration, the control variable will check whether each of the values is in the range and it has been traversed or not. If it has been not traversed, the loop is iterated. If it has been already traversed, that means if all the values in the range have been already traversed, then the statements within the loop are not executed and the control is then traversed to the statement immediately following the for. While using the for loop, it is known in advance the number of times the loop will execute. Here, in which situations you need to use the for loop? So you need to use a situation where you know exactly how many number of times the loop has to be executed. In those kinds of situations you can use the for loop. Diagrammatically it is very easier to understand how the for loop works. So the first will be the start, then after that the initialization statement, then the text expression. This text expression, if it becomes true, then it will be executing body of the for loop. Then afterwards it continues with again testing the text expression. Again it checks the text expression. If it is true, again it will execute the body of the for loop. So this process is repeated until the text expression is true. Once this text expression becomes false, then it will come out of the loop and it will be executing statements following the for loop, and then it will be stopping the execution. So by this I think you are neatly able to understand the concept of the for loop, how it works. Now let us see the syntax of the for loop. So first you need to write for. It should be written in lowercase, that is a small alphabets. Then afterwards one single space. Then you need to write the control variable which we have indicated in an angle bracket. So angle brackets are not written, just for the differentiation we have written here. Then afterwards one single space in. It is a keyword, it should be written in lowercase. Then afterwards one single space, then within an angle bracket sequence slash items in the range. So while writing you are not going to write the angle brackets, whereas here you can use a sequence or you can use the range function. So here every time it will check whether the control variable is in the sequence or in the range. If it is, and then afterwards you need to write a colon, then followed by the one single space here, indentation space in the next line, then afterwards a statement inside the body of the loop. So you can write number of statement inside the body of the loop. Each has to be have one indentation space. So as I told, if the control variable is in the sequence or items in the range, that means the condition becomes true. Then it will be executing statement inside the body of the loop. Again it checks the control variable. Again it checks whether it is in a sequence or in the range. If it is, then again it executes the statement inside the body of the loop. Again it checks the control variable is within a sequence or within a range. If it becomes true, then only it executes the statements. So this process is iterated until each of the control variable, whatever we have written there after the for, exists in the sequence or within the range function. If it has been exhausted, that means if that value is not present in the sequence or not within the range, then it comes out of the for loop and it will be executing the statements followed by the for loop. That means whatever you are going to write the next after this one, and that should not have the same indentation space. It should have one backspace and it has to start from the same cursor position where you have written for, for. From that point it has to start, and what are the statements you are going to write at that particular cursor position after the for in the next lines. So that indicates the end of the for loop and it will be executing those statements. That means it will be executing the statements after the for loop. It means it will be executing the statement outside the for loop when, if all the values which we have written in a control variable has exhausted in the sequence or in the range, then it will come out of the loop and it will be executing the statements followed by the for loop.